Morning folks, Lou Caruso from Surfcasters Journal, and today we're going to talk about Lamiglas. Back in the day, Lamiglas was the staple of Long Island surfcasters. Once graphite came into play, they followed suit right behind Kennedy Fisher, produced the rod. You had two rods that we used, the GSB 120 1M, which is a 10-foot rod, and then you had the GSB 132 1M, which is 11-foot. Just about anybody that had a graphite rod had one of these two rods, especially if you fished the hard surf, Montauk, you're swimming out to rocks. They were the staple. Nowadays, everybody and his brother, there's all kinds of new rods out there, but these have always been the staple. A couple of years back, as I was building the 11-footers, a guy had come to me that I built an 11-footer for, and he accused me of building him an 11L instead of 11M. And I said, nah, I'm sure. I said, Lamiglas could have made a mistake and mislabeled it, but I don't think so. Everything else fit. The tip size, everything fit into the blanks that we were using at the time. This was back in 2006, I guess. So I started doing a little research, and it turns out that in 2005, Lamiglas actually improved their materials. But what happened is when they improved the materials, they didn't compensate for the thinner materials, and they didn't build up the blanks. From 2005 to this year, 2016, the blanks actually felt lighter. Not that it was a bad thing, not that they were any worse for wear, but the blanks were lighter. And you wouldn't know it if you were on the beach on a nice day, casting, your normal routine. But you get into one of these nor'easters and you had to punch a plug or a bucktail, and they just wouldn't punch. So Lamiglas, at the same time, recently, the last few years, went through some changes. They, Mr. Posner had passed away, and it seemed that the company was going to crap. I'll use that word. Was really going to crap. Nobody seemed to care what was going on. There were all kinds of problems with warranties. A friend of mine had a rod that I built for him, brand new blank that he got from somebody. I built it up. He broke it on the first cast, so there was a defect in the blank. No problem, I told him what to do. We cut off the guides, he sent it in. Never heard from them. He called them, and he got jerked around for almost a year. Couldn't get anybody to listen to him, couldn't get anybody to do anything. At the same time that was going on, Mr. Posner's son took over the business. And he started putting out feelers because he wanted to get Lamiglas back to what it was. So a friend of mine actually came to me, he's a rep for them, and he came to me and he said, what would you like to see? So I said, first off, I'd like to see some of the blanks that they discontinued, and second of all, I'd like to see them go back to the original 132 1M and the 120 1M. And he said, okay, let me see what I could do. And he went back, he talked to Mr. Posner, and Mr. Posner agreed. He's trying to make this happen. So they started some prototypes, and they started working on these blanks. And when they thought they had it, they sent us some blanks to test out. Now I built up one of those blanks, and this is the prototype. It's a 132 1M, and it's based on the original design, pre-2005. I took it, built it up. First thing I noticed was that the tip was a little smaller than the original. Original is a size 12 tip. This is size 11. I didn't know if that would have an adverse effect on it, but I figured let's build it up and let's see what happens. At the same time, a friend had come to me who had an original pre-2005 132 1M that he wanted rebuilt. This rod was originally old school with the big 50 stripper guide, 5 guides, heavy as hell. I said, sure, perfect timing. So I stripped it down and started doing some comparisons between the two rods, between the two blanks at the time. What I found was this is still a size 12, so I started doing a few tests. I noticed that the original blank with the size 12 tip has a little bit stouter tip. The size 11 is a little bit lighter. I would expect that, a little bit softer. But the thing I didn't expect is with the new modern materials is that the midsection on the new one is a little stronger than the original. Now you could say, well, the original was used and it's older. And yeah, it could have been used and abused, except I know the gentleman that I'm building this for. He's very cognizant of what he does, and he had this rod built and hardly ever used. It was a backup, so it was very rarely used. So it's a pretty good comparison. So I did a little more testing on it, and I found that the new blank is actually a little bit faster, which is a good thing, because Lamis have always been known to be a sloppy blank, and a lot of that had to do with the builds. The 50 stripper weighed a ton, the rods was sloppy. But I'm comparing now apples to apples. The reel seats are in a very similar position. The layouts are almost identical. So it was a real good comparison. So what we have now is Lamiglas, once they got the okay from us that these blanks were similar, is they agreed to put these in production. So as of last week, these are now going to be replacing the blanks that have been out since 2005 to 2016. Now you guys that have the old ones, there's nothing wrong with them, all right? Don't go crazy. I got guys on the internet losing their minds. I gotta get one of these new ones. I gotta have the newest. It's heavier, it's better. It's only better if you're in a storm, if you're out, you know, in inclement weather all the time, you got wind in your face, if you got a 50-pounder. You know, what's reality here? The fish we're catching, the ones that have been out there, I got guys, a couple of guys now have high 40s, even one guy had a 50 on the newer rods. They handle fine, all right? Don't go crazy. The other thing is, all you guys that are going nuts, gotta have it. Remember, this is still an older design blank. If you have one of the newer rods out there, you're gonna work when you have this rod, right? It's still work to, you know, an outing, you spend a couple of hours out there, you're gonna know it. You're gonna feel the difference. It's a little bit more work to cast it. You gotta put a lot more into it. The newer blanks, as I've said in many of the videos, you don't have to put much in it at all. This rod, you still have to work that cast. If you want it to go, you're gonna have to work for it. The upside, you don't have to worry that if you have a 4-pound bluefish, you're gonna break the tip off your rod, all right? Guys will tell you, oh, they don't break. I can't tell you how many rods now I've had to actually take that tip off and put a new tip on 2 inches from where it was originally. Sometimes it makes a better rod. Guys are very happy with it. But the fact remains, some of these rods, the tips break if you're not careful what you're doing. This rod, you have a lot more leeway than what you had before. So, if you're in the market, you need something for Montauk, you need something for your local jetties or something, look at the 121M or the 132 1M. Lamiglas is back.